On.
We're
in it.
We are on. We're on here,
on.
another episode of a podcast. And today, no different than many other podcast episodes that we do here, we have just some great energy on the other end of the screen. And Jesse Murphy here, owner of Murph Customs. Jesse, we go back a few years. I think literally we've summed it up to the Winnipeg network effect whenever we've kind of caught up. I know we have a few mutuals here. But then we got talking last time that we were chatting last spring about events that you're doing now. And I know you're not new to business, so you kind of touched on a few things. Hopefully we'll get into that today a bit. I'm excited to get you on for, chatting about how other businesses can, well, you'll use other terminology than I will, but wrap and do some really cool things with vehicles and spaces, both like home, office, whatever they're looking to do. So pumped to have you on. We caught you between job sites today too in the background there.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Sitting
it's authentic.
In the truck right now.
It's you. Yeah, it's perfect. So thanks for making time. I know we caught you between job sites here. And do you want to give the listener a little background on yourself and how you got into what you're doing today?
Right on. My name's Jesse Murphy. I'm owner operator of Murph Customs. We are a vinyl installation company. I've been in the sign industry for well over 11 or 12 years. And recently, last year, started my own business in installing vehicle graphics, color change, window tint, everything to do with vinyl. We do event decor, interior. It's been a trip. We've definitely seen progression in just over a little over a year. So it's intense.
Awesome. That's sweet. Well, we're going to dive into everything that you can vinyl, but I was more familiar, and I think a lot of folks would be too, with the vehicle wrapping. I think people have seen that, on vehicles, or they're more familiar with that end of things. But from what I've followed on the social media, we'll get to that chat in a minute, but you guys are wrapping way more than just vehicles.
Yeah. It's kind of a little niche that nobody's really tapped into in the Winnipeg market. And it kind of all started with kind of farting around with some interior stuff at my house. My son, who was born November 15th of last year or two. He's almost 2. So when newborns are trying to get their naps in, I just basically threw out this idea that we could just wrap the windows and block them out. And me and my wife, we were like, we should film this, see what stirs up. And got a lot of stir from just this one little post of putting vinyl on stuff. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? And then it really progressed into interiors and doing kind of fake or faux wood accents on panels and kitchens, and really tapping into this niche market where projects are maybe too far into using raw material. So the option to put vinyl on it becomes more of an idea to finish it.
It's very cool. Awesome. So like, this was a little bit, no, that's a great start. And it starts off with like one little thing, and then see what's out there in the market for other folks doing it, or what level of interest is. And then it kind of takes off from there. And what would be like, I think I've seen the kitchen done before on that end of things. And I guess in general, what's the process for doing the vinyl? If someone's like looking to get like a vehicle done or their kitchen, I'm sure that there's some similarities, and then within the projects, I'm sure there's some differences too, but what's kind of like the standard process for you guys?
So typically, like for it, there's similarities, but a little bit different. For interior stuff, it's coming together with a designer and also the client's preference of what their outcome and expectations are. Similar to vehicle wraps, you
Sure.
can't really just put pink vinyl on somebody's vehicle without letting them know like that you're going to do it. They have to really agree to it, and so there's a whole contract and a meet and greet done prior to actually any installation. We I I prefer meeting with my clients one on one, going over what they want, their expectations, and hopefully I'm able to make or produce the outcome that they want with this material at a lower cost versus like paint or raw materials or even with kitchens having to change out every cabinet and spend well over I don't know $40,000 on cabinetry. It's a reusable resource where you can keep your old and make it look new. So
Awesome. That's cool. And
yeah,
I mean, that would be like a kind of a common thing, I think, to look at too, would be, hey, we're just going to paint this thing. But that might not always be a good fit for some folks, including like I've heard this anyways, but I want to ask it and see what you're like taking, maybe what you've heard about like the company vehicle thing. But there are some advantages to doing a vinyl on it versus like a completely custom like paint situation on a vehicle, from my understanding.
yeah. A lot of times, especially if companies are just starting out, they might have a specific um, color in mind. So with paints, it's a little harder to like show somebody what the outcome would be if you needed to
Right.
paint, because I don't know if you've ever painted before, but a color swatch is never normally what your paint looks like, depending on what wall, lighting, what's
Totally.
next to it. It completely changes the color of what's around it. So with vinyl, you show like it is what it is. There's no color change. There's no variances. There's um there's no what's the word I'm looking for?
Like probably
It's
like inconsistencies in the paint, right?
yeah,
There's like different, like, yeah,
yeah, and then like the whole aspect of installing it. So it's a much cleaner process where if you needed to like, for example, I just wrapped a whole staircase, and if
so cool.
they they moved into the house about a week before, and so they needed to use like the stairs were needed to be functional. So if you had to paint them, that inconsistency would be
Yeah, what would
very
they do?
yeah. You just get
Just,
like they start and you get stuck upstairs. You're kind of hooped. You can't go anywhere. It's COVID all over again.
yeah. So yeah, locked in your house.
Yeah, locked in.
Oh gosh,
That's it.
that's what nightmares are made of
That,
right there.
yeah.
But that
Oh man.
there's so you're talking like the stairs, and I don't know if I had seen this or not, because I mean I do keep up with some of the social, but you're saying like on the walking part of the stairs, obviously, and I'm just saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The entire sidewalls, the railings, underneath, on top, like the whole thing. Um, they um, they had built a house with intentions to showcase what they were capable of building, and so they built the staircase out of steel, and which
Cool.
is phenomenal. It's an art piece. There's nothing like it in Winnipeg in a house, and it'd be fair to say that there might not be anything like it in like North America. So
Cool.
with wanting it to not kind of look like steel, but still be steel, there was options to paint, but then the
Yeah.
issues that arise from not being able to use them and no other way to get downstairs, vinyl was the next option. And so yeah, we did some testing. We did about a week of laying down um, on the stairs to make sure that the scratch is scratch resistant and durable to their pets, and just overall usage of it day in and
Totally.
day out. I had never personally wrapped a stair before. I don't think anybody's ever wrapped a stair before, so I kind of have that underneath my belt, which is cool. So it was a little scary and a little daunting to kind of take on this job, but I kind of just cowboyed it and said like let's do it, because I've seen the durability of the material that I prefer to use, and it's called Avery Dennison Supreme Wrap
Cool.
Film. And yeah, I really had a lot of faith in its capability. And the best part about it is versus paint is you can, if anything happens to it, you just take it off, order
Yeah,
some new vinyl, stick it right back down.
that is so cool. That is so, I
Yeah,
mean, you mentioned
yeah,
some words there that are probably very specific to industry, but what I heard you say is there's kind of a one that you can walk on. That would make sense for stairs
yeah,
in terms of like the different types. So
yeah. And I mean, it depending on your client, and again with expectations, you give all the options that you can, right? So there's floor lamb that you can go over top of this. We even looked into maybe possibly doing PPF, which is a paint protection film for vehicles. But it's very pricey. So
right.
you start adding all this up, it can get very expensive. And but there's a wide range between um, what it's capable of and what it can be put through for a low end, or if you are wanting to that next level kind of appearance and protection, you can always add to it after the fact.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. And it's like, obviously it's not just on vehicles. That's where I kind of get like, or wanting to like kind of highlight in here too, is like, you know, you're used to like looking at like metals or plastics probably on vehicle parts for wrapping, but you've also done wood and now metal. I didn't realize that's what those stairs were on at all there. So
Yeah.
how does it work for wood then? I don't know this at all, but if I
So
were to like wrap my cupboards in the kitchen, like how does that work?
so for woods, it can't be done on like plywood or OSB. I mean, it can.
Right.
Personally, I just wouldn't take the liability of it because
Yeah. Yeah.
um, there's too many unknowns unless you do the testing. Uh, Typically, wood has a low surface energy, so the probability of it sticking and lasting permanent, which is what we want for kitchens.
Yeah.
You want a sealant on top of those. More or less, cabinets have that. It's some like the one I did was an IKEA, so it was all painted and it was
Right.
kind of a purpley gray. So and it had a gloss coat. So the surface energy on that is very high, and so the conformability of the material is a lot higher, and
Right.
so woods are doable. It's just there's a lot more prep to the.
No, that makes sense. I wasn't sure. I know I'd seen you do like the cover thing when you initially started, but I didn't know it was on there before, and that definitely makes sense. So you'd have to do some kind of prep there, and in terms of like a, you know, going over different shapes potentially too. I'm sure it'd have to be something that was looked at with
Yeah,
some level
yeah.
of detail.
There's a different type of application that is needed, um, uh, which if you're a good installer, you know every in and out of all your materials that you're working with. So we try to do. So we try to do.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's a tricky part on like a vehicle? If we go back to like that, what's like the trickiest part of wrapping a vehicle? Something more
Uh,
specific when I think of that end of things.
uh, Clients.
Okay,
Yeah,
understood.
yeah. No, there's it all depends, but Um, but yeah, like most of the clients are very particular in their vehicle, and as they should be. It's
Right.
a lot of it is like a hobby to them, where it's every Sunday night they want to go a cruise night, and they
Right.
want to make sure that their property is maintained and secure throughout the process. If if anything happens to it, yeah, they have every right to go and go be thorough through the whole process. But
Right.
like, to answer your question, with a tricky part of the vehicle, it there's nothing really tricky about it. It's just there's a formula of how to do these things, and like trying to perfect it is a case by case. So,
Right.
like a 92 Honda Accord might be
Right.
a little bit easier than like a Porsche 911, because of all the, like, an Accord's very boxy, so you can kind of
Right.
work with it. Um, but I typically like to view every vehicle as if they are like $1 million car, because it doesn't matter who or how much these things are. It's your quality reflects like how your business is run. So
Right.
you always I'm very anal with my process, and making sure my quality is top of the leaderboard.
Okay, that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah,
I
because
was wondering if there's like
like
starting it off was really tricky, or if like the last piece of the process is the hardest, or doors maybe. I wasn't sure if there was
I
something that stuck out that way, but
it like maybe bumpers,
yeah, yeah,
they're but you can kind of pick apart the whole thing. So the
yeah,
whole aspect of the car is virtually the same. Like a hood is the easiest because it's flat, but it has four corners. If
right,
you look at like a fender, it's got a top corner, bottom corner, and then it's squared off. So there's a formula that you attack all different pieces at it. And so once you break it down into those portions, it's you just start checking them off as you go through, and then like um, it just becomes like muscle memory.
yeah. No, that's fair. I totally get where you're headed with that in terms of like
Yeah,
processes. You know exactly where this is kind of going. Obviously, it must start in some format of like the corners there, and then as you go into other stuff. And so, is
yeah,
it obviously you're wrapping like vehicles outside, and it sounds like you do some work like indoors with other aspects of the house, depending on what it's covered in and stuff. Is there anything else outdoors that you have had inquiries about for doing uh, wrapping with?
yeah. Well, not particularly rapping, but um, my current role in a company that I work for, which is my 9 to 5. This is all kind of added onto everything.
Totally.
Is we it's in the sign industry, and we predominantly work with doing installs as well, but they're
Okay.
big box store signage. So your pylon signs, your fascia signs, neon signs, fluorescent, LED, directionals. Most of it is vinyl. It's just a different type of material, and it's a little bit more aggressive, where it's kind of, once it goes down, it's very unforgiving. So you have to be like pretty spot on with
Right.
it. That's where wrapping, you can pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. In the sign industry, it's one and done, or you have to recut it or reprint it, or um, so yeah. For outside, I do a lot with the signs. I'm actually, after this podcast, I have a fascia sign that I need to go and
Cool.
put some vinyl on. So that that um, that is mainly what I've done outside. Other than vehicles are outside 24/7. Some.
Yeah, that's what I was just yeah. Those ones obviously experience lots of wear and tear, especially in our climate and that kind of stuff. What do you like without putting this on the spot? Because I'm sure if you know you get a ding or scratch accident, it changes a lot. But what's kind of like the lifetime expectancy on someone's like vehicle if they get it wrapped and it's not in a detriment of an accident kind of thing? Is it like a
Yeah.
lifetime? Is it 5 years? What's it look like?
So from manufacturer, it all depends on what material you use. So
Right.
Avery Dennison for of their vertical warranties. So anything that's facing north and south, like doors, some trunks or half trunks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's you get a maximum warranty. So typically it's between I think it's 5 and 8 years warranty.
Okay.
And then anything horizontal, which is past 10 degrees of line of sight, it almost gets cut in half. North America in Canada, it's everything's pretty green, so it holds up to the warranty. So depending on the cold or anything, the cold's actually not what's bad for it. Is actually heat. Heat tends to
Okay.
fade it a lot quicker. Our summers are sort of mild. Depending on who you're asking. Like I work outside. Last year sucked. Last year was
Right.
very hot. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like plus 40, plus 38. But it's humidity. So down south, like in California or Florida, it's like 130 Fahrenheit, and that tends to beat it up pretty good.
Yeah.
So your life expectancy down there is a lot shorter, depending on how well you maintain and keep up with the vehicle. Um, so like aftercare is a huge thing for me. Is like not going into those like chamois with it.
Right. Because all the stuff that's going to like
Yeah,
scrape it is going to have
it
an effect on that.
totally.
Yeah, makes
But
sense.
if you do take care of it and treat it right, it'll last you a long time. And I also with people's first wrap, I include like a free removal if they come back and get another vehicle wrap from me. So yeah,
Cool. Very awesome. You know what? I hadn't even thought about that, but I bet it would be similar to someone also getting like a custom paint job. They probably wouldn't go through a place that would be like touching the vehicle. They'd probably be very gentle with it in general, right? And trying to treat it
you'd
nicer.
be
Or maybe
you'd
not.
be you'd be surprised. So before this, I worked actually at a car wash. I was a manager, and a pretty big company. I won't name names or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it the we had about 4,000 members, and a lot of them would come in every day, and with ceramic coatings on it, everything like fully detailed, and then you go through one of those, and it wipes it all off. So
Oh, geez.
hand wash for sure. Um, Hand wash and just soap and water.
Right.
No harsh chemicals. Nothing to eat away at it. If your vehicle's outside all the time, the sun beats on it pretty good. Yeah, that there's a reason why those warranties are in place because they know it happens, and um, but yeah, treat it right and it'll treat you right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Things I didn't know before. Jumping on here in terms of like lifetime, I had no idea about what that would look like. I'm sure many others did not know that getting on here. But I just see a lot of time when I'm talking to folks on the podcast about business and stuff. And I think I know the answer to this, but it's fun to ask if I don't. But Have you done anything else in like startups or other business ventures, and like, or is this one of the first times you've kind of gone on your own and done a company?
This is my first. This is my
Yeah.
first. It's super risky with having a son and a house to look after. You know, it's very intimidating to kind of branch out and I never really thought that like it's very seasonal. So in the
Yeah.
winter, it was very slow, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And like you would get these off jobs, like a staircase or kitchen cabinet, and you're just like, I'll take all the work. Give me all the work. I need it. You know, like
Right.
you need content. Like word of mouth. So really getting yourself out there
Totally.
is really something new to me. And from a business aspect, yeah, I've kind of just gone with the flow, which I probably shouldn't. I need to like really hunker down and like actually become busy, like a business itself. Because yeah, it's starting to snowball, and yeah, with the season upon us in summer, I'm swamped. It's crazy. It's
That's good,
crazy.
man. That's awesome. But some
Yeah,
business like that, right? Like becomes seasonal, and like as you start to build up momentum, it's just going to come to you, right? I mean, the more cars that you do, more people are talking about it. I've seen some work on video here, like it looks awesome. So
thanks, man.
like I can see it from that end of things. And yeah, if I had a nicer vehicle, we'd definitely be chatting about that. Maybe in the
Yeah, yeah,
future
yeah.
specifically on that topic. But like in what so first I'm kind of doing this. Have you ever like do you do any like business stuff like as a kid? Was there any other like adventures like leading up to this, or this is truly like a first step into entrepreneur side?
Uh, yeah, no, I think this is yeah. I've never actually this is the first time. My wife, I've seen businesses firsthand through my wife. I
Yeah.
knew kind of what to expect and how much it was kind of going to be involving my life, and I was totally prepared to like work nonstop and before I even like started this, I I sat down with my wife and said we like do you think this is a good idea? And there's constant like are we going in the right direction? Are we is this worth it? And
Yeah, man.
it's like you honestly have no idea about the questions, but all I know is that like I love doing it, and I like would I've answered this for myself is I would do it for free. Like it's therapeutical to me. The install aspect, the whole um, like finding work and business part of it, yeah, I need a little bit of work on that. It's super stressful, and I'm like, no, I need to hire somebody. They can do it, and then I'm a hands-on kind of person, so that's
That's great.
I'm not good at the admin part of it. My wife is though.
So
She's
partnering
really
with
good at it.
your wife.
Yeah,
That's great, man. It's awesome you have that support in house there, and that's
yeah.
awesome. I was just kind of poking and prying at it. Sometimes there's something from like a childhood thing, but it's wicked cool to
I'm
see.
real.
Just like started
Yeah,
now.
I'm.
That's wicked, man. Happens at every stage
I
of life, right?
I mean, like people like you build these skills and like the tricks of the trade, and then to actually put it into like motion, it's if you don't really love it or see value in what you're doing, that
Yeah,
I don't I don't think it really pops into your head that like it's
you
a
want to do it then.
possibility or like something that is worthwhile. It's yeah, and this is the first time like something where it's kind of all clicked, and I'm able to like have the qualities and skills to back up, and progress in this industry, because it's a small market in Winnipeg, so kind of being the being one of a great installers is a huge selling feature, and
Totally.
word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, like, that's awesome you're doing that. But I think it's really got to be what I heard you say too, is like, you got to have that passion to be driving this thing forward. Otherwise, it really doesn't make sense. And I think I've heard that too from other people in business, right? Like, if they didn't absolutely love it, they wouldn't be doing it. And it probably wouldn't make sense on paper
Right.
initially. But once you kind of build like that, book a business up well enough, then hopefully it's smooth sailing, and you could be the main thing for you, and can grow from there, kind of deal. So that is very cool. What about so best way to like find you and kind of follow the story in general would be on Instagram for you today. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
And it's at Murph Customs, just to say that out loud, because I follow that account, and we'll make sure to include it in the write-up for this thing too. But I think,
Right on.
I mean, you keep sharing on there, it's going to be a great story to reshare for other posts and other work. And any cool projects coming up for you in the wrapping space besides vehicles and,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff that we talked
Yeah.
about?
I'm actually working on a street sweeper right now. So
Cool.
a lot of the stuff right now, because I am mainly mobile, I don't have a shop yet. Um, I am subcontracted, or I rent space to be able to do these jobs. So depending on if it's interior or vehicle wraps, or event dance floors, or decor or anything like that, it's always in somebody else's space, and I've kind of
Right.
been collabing with a company called Speedpro, and I have a really good relationship with one of the what's his role? Well, he's kind of the owner, I would say, because this is a
Yeah.
franchise base, and
Right.
they're in the industry too, with signs and vehicle graphics. And I mean, if I'm just hired as an installer for that, there's no real overhead for me to have a shop or need a shop at this time. So
Right.
one of the jobs that they have subbed me out for is a street sweeper, and it's this massive machine. Like
Yeah.
the hood itself could pretty much wrap a whole car. Um, it's massive. It's
Yeah.
probably the biggest pieces I've ever had to work with. It's a 5 ton, um, like single axle. It's got like a scissor lift on the back. It's pretty cool. I'm working on a video right now to post about it, but I need to talk with one of the managers at Speedpro to see if it's
Allowed.
available,
Yeah.
or I'm able to. So yeah,
No, that's super cool.
that's one of them. Another one is some pillars at a house that I did other pillars for. Um, they have it's this beautiful home. We did 20 foot, 8 by 8 by no 12 by 4 by 12, um, 20 foot long pillars. We did four of those, and then we did eight of 10 footers, and wrapped them in um, a satin Avery black. And so they need some more pillars done, and they knew who to call. So
I love it.
yeah,
It sounds
yeah,
like you're well on your
pillar,
way already, Jesse. So that is
yeah.
super awesome.
It's it's been a trip. It's awesome, and yeah, seasonal. So as soon as the snow melted, everybody was like, I need this done. I need this done. I need this done. So it's
That's
neat.
awesome. And how, like, on the projects here we're talking about, like, let's say it's like a standard work van and you've met expectations and you're ready to go on the project. I don't know if we asked or if we covered this already, but I'll say it again if we didn't. But what's
Yeah.
like the time for a project like that on a standard vehicle? Without committing on screen here to anything that like too fast, what would like average length of time take? Would it be? Yeah.
Typically, like, so if I'm doing a van wrap, which are like amazing for commercial vehicles, you utilize like the paint job already. Most commercial vehicles are white, so design,
Yeah.
it's a lot in the prep work of making sure the art flows, and but like a half van wrap I can do in a day. Um, that's prepping, cleaning, install, and then sealing. Winnipeg's horrible winter, so salt gets underneath the rocker panels, or so making sure that's sealed off. A color change is a little different. If you have a white vehicle and you want it black, it's very tedious and making sure that you get full coverage. So a little bit more time consuming in that. But no more than 5 days um,
Okay.
on most vehicles. If we're doing a black vehicle and we're changing it to matte black, that typically could be about like 3 days.
Awesome. Okay, so
Yeah,
a 3 to 5 day window on a vehicle and other
yeah,
projects. I'm just kind of like making some assumptions in my own head here around how long those may take. But probably within like a few days, basically, is what I'm gathering for probably other projects too, give or take a little bit.
yeah, yeah. It varies. It varies. Like you can go from a day, or like this street sweeper. It's I've pretty much got it all done, and I've only put about 14 hours into it. So
That's still a chunk of
it
time.
yeah. Well, I mean, like there's a lot of companies out here that like I get that there's prep work, like you need to decontaminate the whole vehicle.
Right.
Some vehicles you need to disassemble. Um, a lot of bumpers come off. So there is added time with. You also have to make sure that the vehicle's cured. So there's about maybe a day after the vehicle has been applied, or the vehicle wrap has been applied, that it should sit and in an air controlled environment, and then it would be released to the customer. A
Very
lot of
cool.
these steps are based on warranty, like it,
Right.
or there's a high probability of failure.
Right. If you try to rush it or do something out of order there. So cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That is really
So
awesome,
much,
man.
so much to know. And then it just looks like you just throw a sticker on a vehicle. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like skateboarding. Like everybody makes it look easy. You land a couple tricks, but nobody really sees like, oh, it took you 20 tries to land that. So
Yeah, man, I love that analogy. And obviously you're very
mhm.
experienced on um, doing this and like you said, they're kind of mentioning like kind of making it almost sound like easy in a way, but you've gone through a lot of like testing and knowing these products from your sounds like day roll and then kind of now morphing it into testing things out on other products, and through experience you become very skilled at the task at hand, as it were, and you like it, which is awesome.
Yeah, love it, love it. It's therapeutic for sure.
That's awesome. Great, man. Well,
Yeah.
what's the best way if someone does have an inquiry on like through Instagram, or is it good to email you? How should people get a hold of you?
Yeah, email is great. My email is info@murphcustoms.com. I typically check it every single day.
Awesome.
So if you ever want to reach out, or you got inquiries, questions, if you've had a vehicle wrapped by me, you just want to say hey, like you can just
Drop the
just
line.
throw
Yeah,
me yeah, send me an email.
that's awesome. I think that's great. Is
Yeah.
there anything else that you want to shout out here, just before we wrap up the episode today. Just always like to ask. I think we covered lots and how to get a hold of you, and we'll include that on the bio here too. But anything else you want to mention about the company before we wrap up today?
No. I mean, if anybody's scared to see and how durable this this product is, my Instagram has a lot of videos where I test the durability on wrap material, and they can go check it out. It's just Murph Customs on Instagram. If you follow me, I'll follow you back.
I love it. Follow for follow. Man of promises.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's great, man. Well, I really appreciate you making time within the day to be on here, Jesse. Awesome. And we gotta catch up soon outside of the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much for jumping on, man. And we'll talk more to you soon.
Right on. Okay, take care.